Today I'm making some homemade ketchup and some simple tomato sauce. But this homemade ketchup that we're going to make today is going to be exceptionally delicious. I've been searching for a ketchup recipe online and been asking people in my groups that I'm in if they were willing to share recipes with me, a tried and true recipe, that ketchup recipe that tastes delicious, but nobody seemed to have one. So we're gonna make our own today and see if we can come up with a tried and true recipe that tastes delicious. Last summer, to save me some time, I washed them, I cored them, and then I put a little X on the bottom so when they thaw out, the skins will fall right off, in theory. I've seen people say that it works, so we're gonna try it today. It's almost my bedtime. I'm gonna just, without turning it on, I'm just gonna put them inside of the roaster overnight and see if they'll thaw out enough for me to take the skins off in the morning. For this ketchup recipe, I'm using about 6 pounds of tomatoes. I wrote down what they all were. These are my Romas and my San Marzanos canning tomatoes, so I would know which ones were which. I'm choosing this method today because it's more of a hands-off for me and I can go do other things. I don't have to stand next to a stove and watch, make sure that it doesn't burn or anything. This is probably my favorite way to make sauces, is with these 18 quart and 20 quart roasters. Plus, I'm gonna save all these bags because freezer bags are expensive and I'm just using these to freeze tomatoes and they're already washed and I mean, they're not dirty, so we'll reuse them again. I hope it works. So the next morning when I got up to check to see how much it had thawed out, it really didn't thaw out much at all. I mean, everything was pretty much still hard as a rock and frozen. But that was okay because I was going to spend the day doing other things anyway, so I decided to just plug this in and turn it on a low setting and go about my day. Ooh. It's only been on for like not even 5 minutes and it's already getting hot. This thing gets hot fast. Turn it down to around 225. We don't want to burn the tomatoes. We just want them to get the skins to fall off, get them soft. I'll be back. So the skins on these tomatoes did start to peel off once they started to thaw out, but because with this batch of tomatoes I was making ketchup and I was going to have to strain out the seeds anyway because I don't want a seedy ketchup, so I just went ahead and decided to blend this all up and then run it through a food mill, which is what I was doing last year, and it seemed to work out a lot faster for me, and the whole process went by faster when I did it with a food mill. So because I wanted this ketchup to be as thick as possible, I decided to try to get as much of the water off as possible before I started to cook it down. And as you can see, there is a lot of water in these tomatoes. This is just one of my goofy sons trying to interrupt me while I'm trying to make a video. So even though that these tomatoes had a lot of water, I'm not going to let that go to waste. I am going to make use of the tomato juice as well. Did you know that tomato juice is high in many vitamins and minerals that are essential for your health, including vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin B, potassium, and magnesium? I was being super careful with this because I had made so many messes on this day. I was so tired of cleaning up messes at this point. So the way that I am making my ketchup is by just using my food mill and my blender. And all I'm doing is I'm just putting all my tomatoes inside the blender. I'm blending them up really good, and then I'm going to pour them into this food mill and just get all the skins and seeds out. Now the recipe that I'm getting ready to give is the exact recipe that I used on this video. I'm glad that I made this video because I did not write this recipe down, but I will leave the recipe for everybody in the description for everybody too. Still kind of thin, but it's getting thicker. So I'm going to reduce this down until it's no longer watery. This is pretty watery still. But I'm going to add our spices in right now. So I'm going to add about a half of a cup of brown sugar. We're going to do a half of a cup of apple cider vinegar, a half of a cup of white vinegar. I'm going to use some of my canning salt. Start off with a tablespoon. A teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, I'm gonna do like 1/8 of a teaspoon of celery seed. I got this stone ground mustard. We're gonna use some of that. We'll start off with a teaspoon. I'm gonna add 2 bay leaves. Get all a quick stir. I'm gonna put some fresh nutmeg in this. About a half of a teaspoon. We forgot these. I'm gonna put in just 1 clove. Okay, I tasted it and we're gonna add some more salt to this. It needs more salt. Of canning salt. So that's 2 tablespoons total of canning salt that we've used so far. I also added a tablespoon of nutritional yeast flakes that helps give it that umami flavor. Now I reduced this down for about 6 to 8 hours that day, and because I wanted to cook all the water out. I didn't add any tomato paste or anything like that. I just wanted it all from my tomatoes, and this is how thick it ended up turning out, which I was quite pleased with the thickness. So this is what I got. I got a little under a quart and a pint out of that. And I'm gonna take the immersion blender because, I mean, I had some of this for dinner on a burger and it was amazing. But I want it to be a bit smoother, so I'm gonna use the immersion blender. This took all day, but, and it tastes amazing. So when it thickens up, when it cools off, it'll be super thick. like ketchup. See? And it's got that zing that ketchup has. But better. Way better. Way, way better. We're gonna start our other tomatoes tonight. Let them go overnight. Get all the water draining out of them so we can make our tomato sauce. And in that way, I'll have enough tomorrow for a batch to can. We still got some left in there. Stay up long enough for this to wilt down a little bit, and then add another bag or two. But this sauce is gonna be so good. I got the yellow pears in this one and the honeycomb. The honeycombs were so sweet. And then I got the Gardener's Delight, Chadwick cherry, Romas, Brandywines, Sweet 100s, German orange, I think it is. This sauce is gonna be good. Put a little bit of water in there so it don't scald. We're gonna be cooking this down for a long time, so I'm not too worried about the water. Get stuff done. These tomatoes were cooking down quite nicely for me. I think it was because I added the water to it to help it along. So I decided to add a couple more bags to it. In total for this tomato sauce, I used probably around between 25 and 30 pounds of tomatoes, and then just kept reducing it down. This took about a day and a half for me to do this because I started it the night before. I think it's cooked down enough. So I'm gonna get my immersion blender out and finish getting it all ground up, and then I'm going to strain it through my food mill, and then we'll can it up. The fastest way and the easiest way that I've learned about canning like any of my sauces or anything, this little tool right here, it's called an immersion blender. I'm sure that most people have one of these. I don't know, I didn't have one until I started canning. I did not have one of these. So, but you can also use your blender and just blend it up, but this makes less dishes, in my opinion. Okay, so you can do this a couple different ways, but I find that this is the easiest way for me. Is I have a designated 5-gallon bucket just for tomatoes. This is my tomato bucket. And what I do is I will start putting my food meal like right here. I'll get closer to the pan and then I'll scoop it out and then strain out all of the bits and skins and stuff like that out of it. And then when I'm done with it, if I'm making anything else other than just tomato sauce, I will just put it back in and then heat it up and add whatever seasonings that I want to put in there. But don't forget to put some type of a towel down. Another thing that I have since I started canning my food is I have canning towels. Like whenever I'm canning tomatoes or jams, I have the same towels that I just keep reusing because I make a big mess. So I don't want to have to keep, you know, just staining up all my towels. I just keep reusing the ones that are already stained, and that's it. This is the easiest way that I have found to remove the seeds and the skins. They say that you can use a high-speed blender to basically dissolve the skins. Now, I don't have one of those Vitamixes, but I have one of the older smoothie mixers that I have tried in the past, and it did not take off all the skins or seeds. It didn't. I guess you really just need a really high-speed blender like a Vitamix to achieve those type of results. I don't know. But because I did some, I made some salsa using my high-speed blender, thinking that it would take care of all the skins and the seeds, and the salsa was fantastic, but I really don't care for the seeds, or if you're a texture person, you're gonna want to do this. Let me show you without making a mess what I'm talking about. See how the skins are like little pointy things in there, and that's what's in some of my salsas that I made, and it gets, I don't know, it's a weird texture. I don't know, I'm a texture person, so this is what I do. And these food mills, I got this at the thrift shop years ago, but you can pick them up online for probably, I saw one as cheap as like $25. So they're not expensive. You could probably find them cheaper than that. But these work amazing to get all the skins and the seeds out of your tomatoes, your jams, stuff like that. This thing here works beautifully for that. Now, I don't throw out my tomato skins or seeds because I dehydrate them and I turn them into tomato powder to make some of my seasonings, my homemade seasonings. And that is a great addition. And you do the same, I do the same thing when we had a really good pepper harvest a couple years ago. I used my pepper skins for the same thing. The best pepper powder for flavoring meats and chilies and stew. Oh, it was amazing. I'm hoping to get a lot more peppers this year than we got last year, so I can make pepper powder again. And I just take the skins out and put it in a bowl ever so often. Okay, so I'm gonna can up my ketchup here that we did last night, and I'm gonna let this come up to room temperature. Ooh. But I wanted to show you how it turned out. It's thick. See? I don't know if you guys can see that. So this is, I'm going to show people that are new to canning what it looks like when you strain it out. And then you can make that call for yourself whether or not you could deal with the skins or the seeds being in there. So, see this? This is nice and smooth and silky. See that? Now this is not. Some people can handle that. I can't. Mine's got to be smooth. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time and effort, but your end product will be so delicious. Since I started canning my own tomatoes and making my own sauces, I have not bought any from the store. I didn't think when I first started that I would like it as much as I do. I love it. No added ingredients. You know what goes into it. I feel good about that. I feel good that I know what is in my sauces. Okay, so this is how much we got. This is a 5-gallon bucket, so we got about 2.5 gallons of tomato sauce here. See, if it's sticking to the spoon like that, it should be good, and it shouldn't have a whole bunch of water in it. I like my sauces thick. I don't want them to be too runny, so I think this will be perfect. So now all that's left to do with this is we're gonna jar it up, and then we're gonna water bath can it. Yeah, we're gonna water bath can it. We're gonna water bath can it over here in this Fresh Tech water bath canner that is from Ball Canning. First time using this too, so you guys are using it with me. So I've never used this canner before, or an electric canner before. I've always done it on the stove. So this will be the first time for me, and you guys are gonna be doing it with me for the first time. Hopefully it goes good. Another thing that I wanted to mention to new canners is, and I find that this helps me a lot, is I try to, like, if you got like multiple things going in the kitchen like I do, it's best to clean up as you go, because if you wait till the end to clean up everything, it just seems so overwhelming and you're just like, it's just too much. So I clean as I go. I don't have a dishwasher, so that's another reason why I have to clean as I go. Dead spider. So I'm going to put a half of a teaspoon in each jar for my tomatoes. You can also add lemon juice to your tomatoes, your tomato sauce, but I didn't have any on this day, so we're just going to use some citric acid. Okay, so I'm just filling up all my jars to about an inch of headspace. Then I wipe down all of my rims with a little bit of vinegar and water to make sure they were all nicely cleaned. And then we're going to just put our lids on. After that, I just went ahead and screwed on all of my rings till it was just finger tight. When I first started canning, I didn't really know what finger tight meant when it came to canning. But all you're doing is you're putting the ring on just tight enough to where it's not gonna come loose when it's in the canner. But you don't want it so loose that it's not going to hold the top of the lid down. Okay, now that all that's left to do is we're gonna put our water in our water bath canner, and then we're gonna put our jars in. Now I processed these tomatoes for 45 minutes. And when I say process them for 45 minutes, I don't start that time from the time that I put them in the canner. I wait until the water comes up to a rolling boil, and then I will start the timer for 45 minutes, not until then. I'm gonna fill it up just to cover the tops here, and I'm gonna bring it up to temp for a little bit, and then I'm gonna turn it all the way over to canning. Bring it up to temp slowly, because I didn't start off with these being hot. These are just room temperature jars. I don't want any to crack or break while we're doing this. I'm going to put this on top like so. This is supposed to be like a splash guard. Put the lid on. Okay, so now I'm gonna start my timer. I don't really want to lift it up because it's gonna cool it down a little bit, but I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, so I'll lift it up. Now I'm gonna start timing this for 40, I think it's like 40 or 45 minutes. I'm gonna start the timer now. After the time's up, you're gonna want to take the lid off and just let them set for at least 5 minutes in the water before you remove them to prevent any type of siphoning. Then you're going to pull them out and set them on a towel and let them cool for at least 24 hours. And it's time for me to go to bed because I've done made a mess out of everything in my kitchen. Today was a good day. So I ended up washing my jars, which I wash my jars a lot, especially if I have a lot of hard water on them. But these ones I forgot to add vinegar to the canner, and we have well water. So all the calcium deposits and stuff is on these jars, which I just wash it off. I just put them in some warm water and I just give them a good wash before I put them on my shelves. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 jars of tomato sauce. Well, actually we got more than that, but we used about 2 quarts for dinner the same night that I made this. So I don't know, this ketchup, it's so good. I can eat it on pretty much anything and everything, but I don't want to eat it all up. I want to keep some on the shelf because we eat a lot of ketchup. This is going to be my go-to ketchup for now on. So total amount of tomato sauce that I got out of those tomatoes was 9. So that was 9 quarts plus 1 pint of tomato sauce total. Good canning day. Don't forget to date and label your jars. I have done that in the past and had to just guess what things were. And if anyone has any questions, I will gladly answer any in the comments. Canning doesn't have to be scary. Canning for me it feels empowering. Having your own home canned food on your shelves just feels amazing. I hope this video was helpful for anybody that are wanting to venture into canning. It is not very hard to do. It just takes a little bit of time and effort, and your end product is always so much better than what you can get from the store, in my opinion. I also would like to say thank you for everyone for stopping by and visiting, and I hope that everyone has a very blessed day.